In this video, I'm going to tell you why I think your new home should definitely have a standby generator. We are in Texas, where we had a fairly infamous storm here in 2021. We like to call it Snowmageddon, and it was a classic case of Texas getting weather that we don't get that often. And for lack of a better word, our entire infrastructure collapsed. The primary thing that went away was electricity. There were issues with power plants here being outside. We had a lot of icing. Power lines started to go down. The grid got overwhelmed. And a lot of homes, millions of homes, lost power. When you lose power, you start to lose other things. There were neighborhoods that I built homes in where everybody got their water supply from a private water well. They have aerobic septic systems. They have swimming pools. All that stuff went out in a lot of cases. The pipes busted. The swimming equipment broke. A real catastrophe because people didn't have power. They also could not use their water well to pump water into their house. So when you are in the city and your power goes out, you still have your water because water is under pressure. It's coming from a different source. And your water doesn't cut off when your electricity cuts off. But in the case of these folks out in these subdivisions where they had private water wells, not having any power meant no water. It also meant all those other things like pipes busting, pool equipment breaking. You also had, in that particular case, people that went 2 to 3 days without power. So you have food spoilage in your freezers and refrigerators. And on top of everything else, it was cold for this area, 10 to 20 degrees outside, and you have no power for heat during all that period. So a real problem. That happened here, but things like this are happening in other parts of the country. On average, we lose power a lot more than we used to due to the storms that we are seeing intensifying, the bomb cyclones, all these various weather events that we are seeing. So, what is the best way to prevent that catastrophe of not having power when you have this kind of storm? Well, it's obviously having a backup generator. So, the backup generator is something that started to become popular years ago. Most of us understand that big commercial buildings, whether they're hospitals or places that need power, have backup generators. When the power goes off, the generator will kick on. You couldn't have hospitals just lose all their power because the power company had a line go down or something like that. Some years back, this started to become a popular trend with houses, and it has really become a popular trend here in Dallas-Fort Worth after our Snowmageddon of 2021. We are to the point that every home we build, nearly every home we build, has a standby generator included with it. I am of the opinion at this point that even if you aren't going to do the generator initially because you don't want to spend the money for that, at least set the house up for it. We can have the setup outside where the wire is ready for it. We can have gas there for it. And we set up a panel on the inside with a transfer switch. You can even do setups where you can have large portable generators that are partial standbys. So in these cases, this would be buying a big generator from somewhere that sells it, a Home Depot, a Harbor Freight. You generally want to have a 7,500 to 10,000 watt portable generator. That's about as big as those get. But those can actually run aspects of your house. You would have that set up to your panel to be able to run certain things, your heat, your refrigerator, and some other critical items. With the whole house standby generators, they will generally run most of the house, subject to the size of the house and what you're using for certain elements like your heating and things of that nature. So if you have, let's say, gas heat, and that is what is running your furnaces, then you don't need a lot of power to run the fan that blows the air. If you have straight electric heat, that does use a lot of power, and your generator may not be able to keep up. But this is where you talk to a generator professional about the capabilities of the generator and what it can do on your house. When we are building new homes, again, these are commonly put on. Now, we've built some big homes recently where the generator can't power the whole house if they were to lose power. Right now, Generac makes a 26 kW portable generator. And we just built a big house where that wouldn't even handle the whole house, but it's going to get all the important parts of the house, all the refrigerators, the heating, the tankless water heaters. There's just some sections it won't be able to run. Generac is about to upgrade to a 28 kW, so they'll have a little more power, and it is also going to have some more features to it. So these standby generators, we do almost like you would do with an air conditioner. We will pour a concrete pad outside for them to sit on. They can run off a few different fuels. They can run off actual liquid fuel like gasoline or diesel, although I usually recommend not to use that type of fuel with these generators. The problem is that type of fuel can have issues with gumming up over time, and it's kind of a maintenance issue. So generally what we do these days is we run these generators off either natural gas if you have it at the house, or propane if you don't have natural gas and have to run propane at your house for gas-fired appliances. In both of these cases, propane does have a limited amount of quantity. You may have a 1,000-gallon tank out there, and yes, at some point that would run out. If you have natural gas, it's kind of an endless supply. And there again, if your power goes out on the house, your natural gas does not stop flowing to the house. So you can still run your generator, you can still power everything there. So I am a big fan of the standby generators. While not inexpensive, you're looking at roughly 10,000 or so, maybe up to 15 installed, subject to what all you're doing with your house and the transfer switches and the way you're setting it up. In the grand scheme of things, though, it is probably money well spent given the nightmare some people have gone through with losing power. We just had another event here that was just a windstorm, very high winds up to 80 miles an hour, and it knocked down a lot of power lines and trees. There again, we've had people, one of my cabinet shops did not have power at their cabinet shop for a week. So imagine you are trying to run a business and you don't have power. So I think it's a very good investment. And the worst case, you can set it up for the portable generator, partial powered scenario. Even if you have an older house, this is a fairly easy retrofit. And I do recommend if you are in an area where there are often a lot of storms, high winds, power tends to go out, it is a worthwhile investment to get one of these. The brand that is most known that we use as the standby generator is Generac. So you can go online and look them up. But I'd say overall, it is a very good investment, especially if you are building a new home, to have your builder install a standby generator.